What's up, guys? Welcome back up north for the weekend here. Couple little things to do today. We're only here for the day, unfortunately, but it's cold out here. It's like 24 degrees, lots of frost on the ground. Winter's definitely coming. So first things first, I got a guy that wants to come up and buy this old camper here. I got to get the rest of the shit out of here and clean it out, get that ready to go. Be good to get this out of here before the snow comes anyway. The other mission for today is to get these solar panels taken care of and get them up off the ground. I got a couple of ideas in my head to hopefully make this a pretty quick and easy process here, so I'll be sure to get that on video and show you guys how that's going to work out. And yeah, so we're just getting here to camp, like I said, and just checking everything out, making sure the batteries are doing just fine, which they are. You can see the framework here on the workshop. I got to get up here pretty quick in the next couple weeks and get the siding put on it and get that taken care of. I got to fix that header. That header is no good. But anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna start going through this camper, make sure that's cleaned out and ready to get towed out of here, hopefully, and we'll get to work on the solar panel project pretty quick after that, so stay tuned. So this is the old camper we had when we first got the place up here, and she's pretty small. It's cheap. It was like 3,000 bucks I think we paid for it, and nothing too fancy about it. It's a 2006. We've upgraded to a bigger camper, so this has been kind of the storage place for trash and shit, so I got to get this cleaned out. It's pretty basic. It's not a bad little setup though for what it is, really. Queen bed up front, dinette. This couch here bumps out a little bit, and in the back you got the little kitchen and the refrigerator, and needs a good cleaning, of course, but just gonna make sure everything's cleaned out of it. We'll get cracking on that here. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so the plan here is, this is something I saw on YouTube. It's a kind of a simple way to kind of temporarily mount solar panels so they're up off the ground. I got these brackets that you can bolt a 2x4 right to. I think they use for like target practice and whatever, but they just kind of go over the top of the T-post and they just hang there, and then you put your 2x4 right through here. I'm going to do 3 of these in a row, and then I'm going to build a rectangular frame to bolt all these solar panels to, and then I'll have the downhill end up higher so that they're angled just like they are here. And then depending on how this goes, so this is all clay. I don't know if how well I'll be able to drive these T-posts in here. There's a lot of rocks, but we'll see how much of these T-posts I can drive in without fighting them too much. So it'll be either 3 across the back and then do something with these cinder blocks to hold the front part of it, or I'll do 3 across the back and 3 lower across the front. But I'm going to start trying to drive in these T-posts here and see how that goes first and kind of go from there. So the hard part's going to be to get them not to twist and get them back out of the ground. Because you don't have the option to rotate anything. Like T-posts have to be facing pretty much exactly in the direction that you want the rack to face, so I don't know how smooth this will really be, to be honest with you. And you gotta try and get it level too, or plumb rather. Try and get these as parallel and lined up as we can. I don't know, this might not be as easy as it looked on that YouTube video. So this is kind of the idea here. See, the 2x4 just kind of sits in this bracket, and he puts a couple screws in from behind. So this will be, this is about the middle, and I have one or more over here, so I got to slide this to where I need it to be. So it'll be about like that. And then we'll have one more on this end over here. The other problem is the ground is so uneven that I might have to drive these in farther so I can get that one on the end because it sits lower here. I'll show you. Yeah, see, so it's kind of hard to tell in the video, but it's definitely not level. I think that one has to come down more. They both have to come down more. That one has to come down a lot more. This one has to come down more. And then I'm going to level it out the best I can and put one more on that end over there. And then, I don't know, I might put 3 T-posts on the front side too. I don't know, we'll kind of see. She's not even close. These two are both going to have to come down quite a bit. Especially this one. A little bit better. I'll bring this one down just a touch. Actually, it's not even in the whole way, so it might be it. That's pretty fucking good right there. So these are the little aluminum brackets I'm using. These are little aluminum brackets are off of Amazon. I get everything off of fucking Amazon. I'm just bolting them onto the back of the... There's four of them that go on each panel. I'm just kind of loosely bolting these on so I can get a rough measurement of what I need for a dimension on these on this rack. Now you would have thought that EcoWorthy would have sold you some brackets with their panels instead of having to pay extra for them, but such is life, I guess. Really shouldn't complain though. The panels are only $100 a piece, or $100 for 2 of them. So if I got to spend a couple extra bucks on brackets, then so be it. So what I got to do is measure the distance between these 2 brackets, so I know how wide to make this rectangle, I'm calling it. We go 22 inches. Yeah, that ought to work. We'll go 22 inches wide on the rectangle. I'm gonna temporarily nail one end. So I want to make sure I get these measurements right. So it'd be a lot easier if I was on flat ground. So yeah, so what I'm doing here is I put the solar panel on here just to see where these brackets fall. So in order for me to avoid putting pieces of wood all the way down to bolt these brackets to. I'm going to have the top bracket on this long piece and the bottom bracket on this long piece. So that way it's a lot less wood and a lot less weight. That means I got to nail this bottom long piece to the inside of this line. That way all the brackets will fall on this one and this one. And then I'll put a couple, maybe I'll put a couple of gussets on the corners or something. But so now we got a measurement for the other one, 21.5 inches. We'll just throw the panel back on here real quick just to make sure. That'll work just fine. It's close to the edge, but I mean it'll be fine. I'll just put the screws in at an angle. But so now these brackets will sit right on this, right on these beams all the way across to the other end. Okay, so this is where we're at here. Looks a bit fucked, but I think it'll do the trick. It's not pretty. It'll look better when I have the solar panels on covering this shit up. So basically what I did is I just ran some 2x6 I had laying around down to the ground to keep the angle right. And should be pretty close. I might have to adjust it a touch, but I got all kinds of blocking and shit in here to try and keep it all together. Hopefully it doesn't move around too much, but we know I'm not going to win any engineering awards here with this, but hopefully I don't have to mess with it too much this winter here. So I'm going to make sure these are at the right angle and whatnot. I'm going to start bolting these panels on. Alright, so we're going to start. I'm just going to start mounting these panels here. If I can do it without dropping or breaking shit here, that'd be mint. Okay, so I'm just slowly putting these panels on here. As you can see, what I'm doing is in order to save space lengthwise on this whole setup, I'm overlapping these brackets here so the holes line up, and I'm only using one screw on each side, or so they're overlapping, and it saves a little bit of space. And I got these right on the edge here. Now, I can't begin to tell you how quiet it is here when there isn't anybody else around. There's one other guy up at the end of the road who's been working on his place. I can hear his machinery and whatever in the distance there, but it's not super noticeable. But when there's no one here and it's just me and there's no wind, you can't, it's like the quietest quiet. And the majority of the time, especially late in the season like this and in the fall, in the winter rather, it's just dead quiet. It's going to be mint having these things off the ground though. One less thing I got to worry about this year. So we're moving right along here pretty good. We got one more to do. I got 3 brackets on, and my luck, you know, there's one bolt missing for the 4th bracket, so I gotta figure out a different bolt to use here, so we'll get this bolted up finally and get it on the rack. I don't know if I have, well yeah, I could use a couple of these here. These will work. Alright, now we gotta see if we have enough room without me having to nail a block to the end of this. I think I'm gonna have to. Oh yeah, we're gonna need a block. Okay, so here's what I engineered here. Now let me tell you first and foremost, this thing is ugly as shit. But again, we're looking for function over form. It's hopefully going to do what it's intended to do here, is keep the solar panels up off the ground, out of the snow. They're not going to freeze to the ground and break the glass. So, and what I did here is like I said, I overlapped. I started on the very edge here, just used a couple 1.5 inch screws, and I overlapped the bracket so it takes up less space from end to end. And what I also did is I left these screws just a little bit loose, because it's going to want to flex in the wind, and I don't want to risk having this thing bounce around and flex too much and have the glass break or crack. So I left each one of these screws backed off just a little bit, so there's a little bit of play here. That way if the wind blows and catches it and moves it around and whatever, it'll have a little bit of give. But besides that, everything is pretty much where I need it to be for now. I just got to get back to hooking everything back up here. But you can see I did have to add some blocking here just to get the length right, you know. But yeah, it works, you know. Like I said, it's not pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but as long as it holds up till the springtime and I can engineer something a little bit better, we'll be pretty happy. So I'm gonna get to hooking up all these panels back up and getting it up and running again. Okay, so this is where we ended up. She's all back together now. It looks crooked as shit. It looks really crooked because the ground is so unlevel, but I did put a level on it and it's about as close to level as I can get it. It's not the prettiest looking thing by any stretch, but like I've said time and time again, I'm looking for function over form here. So see, I got the wires tucked up. Looks like a bit of a mess, but I forgot to grab some wire clips to neaten all this shit up here, but I got it up off the ground anyway. That's the important part. So yeah, I think it turned out halfway decent for the amount of time I had to put into it and whatever, but it's just so much better than having it sit on the ground here anyway. But yeah, that's about it, and I gotta get packing up here in a minute. But a quick temporary, semi-temporary mounting system here for the solar panels. I'll keep checking in on it here as time goes on, and we'll keep an eye on it all winter when I come up and keep the snow off it, and I'll let you know how it holds up there. But there you go. Get packed up here pretty quick and get home, so it's only a day trip for me today. So yeah, appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you on the next one.